welcome back to the channel. It's been a day or two since my last video. Things have been a little busy and hectic here. Overall though, they've been good. This video is going to continue the theme of the last video in the sense of hearkening to some ideas and instances introduced in the Matrix. So what I want to talk about today is the whole notion of quote-unquote following the white rabbit. For those of you who have seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you who haven't, I'll go into it very briefly. Basically, the main character Neo receives a message on his computer from this sort of anonymous hacker named Morpheus, and the message that he receives is follow the white rabbit. A few minutes later, he gets a knock on his door. He has a conversation with these people, and in the middle of the conversation, they invite him out, and he starts not to go. But he notices a tattoo on the squirrel's back, if I remember correctly, of a white rabbit. And so he realizes that synchronicity, and he decides to go with them, and ultimately he meets Morpheus. So the thing is, the connection there is that it may sound strange, but a lot of times spirits work in strange and mysterious ways. So that's what I wanted to get into, and I took some notes here. I don't suspect this is going to be a long video. I can tell you from my own experience, for me, part of it started with the messages that I got from Spirit about the tarot cards, but also a lot of it started even way before then with cold chills. I mean, I could be watching a video on YouTube or listening to a song. Different things could occur in my day. It didn't necessarily have to do with the computer, but just situations that I would be in, conversations I'd be having with people, and those cold chills would come, and then there was this resonance in my mind of, hey, wait a minute, something's going on here, this is weird. You know, like I shouldn't be getting cold chills because I'm not afraid. Like there's nothing that would quote unquote normally or rationally cause this reaction, but it was occurring anyway. Ultimately, when my path changed and I started channeling Spirit in a very strong way, I learned that those cold chills were a way that Spirit led me to the information and the steps that I needed to take on my path. So yeah, cold chills were a very powerful part of it for me. Also, like I said, another thing that I've noticed, especially when you put that intent out there, when you call out, to Spirit or to the spirits that you're working with, whoever it is, and you simply say, I'm looking for some guidance. I ask that you give me some signs or synchronicities. Give me some guidance so that I can go where I need to go to strengthen this connection. That intent is very powerful, and if you ask, you will receive. Another powerful part of that for me was receiving messages sometimes during conversations with other people. It really didn't matter even what we were talking about, because there would be moments that would occur in the conversation where a spiritual truth would be shared, some form of enlightenment or something that really resonated with me. And a lot of times for me, as I said a while ago, those cold chills would come through, and I knew then, in a way, Spirit was speaking through that person, whether they knew it or not. The thing is, we channel all the time, because all of us have these intuitive abilities. All of us have these receptors up there in our brain that virtually pick up these signals, these energies, these frequencies, whatever you want to call them, and our mind translates them in different ways. Most people are oblivious to it, and those few, I feel like, who really do to some degree get it or understand what's going on, a lot of them even still don't devote the energy and the time, the work and the practice to sort of honing that signal so that you can really translate it. It takes some work and some effort, but it is possible. As I said, all of us can do this. So yeah, that was one part of it. Also, there again, I'm going to say, I'll mention this. This is another part of my experience. When I connected to Lucy, I wasn't sure that it was Lucy. The message came through to me from Uriel that Lucy was going to come. And so, but, I mean, it wasn't like she showed up in a physical manifestation. It was just her voice and her presence, like her energy was in the room, and it was very strong. But even still, I wasn't sure because I had never connected to Lucy, so I had no reference for her or her energy. So in a very polite way, and that's what I wanted to hark on here, I would say make sure if you're going to reach out to make this request that I'm talking about, do it in a respectful way. You can actually, quote unquote, test the spirits that you work with. You can say, look, in my case, this is what I said to Lucy, roundabout. I don't remember the exact words, but I was like, if it's okay with you, would you be willing to give me some signs and synchronicities, some images and messages, tomorrow during my day, so that I know that I'm communicating with you and that this is not some other being, or, I'm not mistranslating it. I want to know specifically that I'm talking to you. And the next day, they were all there. They were all over my feed, on Facebook and other websites. And it was obvious, and those were the confirmations that I was looking for. So it is something that you can do, and that doesn't solely supply. Can't speak. That doesn't solely apply to just Lucy. I've heard of people using that with angels, and I found that to be true. That also happened with me when I connected to spirit. So I would say pretty much it's a standard across the board. Most spirits or spiritual beings that you work with are going to be open to giving you that. And here's another thing. If you're trying to work with the spirit and you ask for that, like if they send you back really harsh negative energy, especially if you were sincere and humble and kind and respectful when you ask for it, then be aware that you may not be working with whoever they say they are. And there again, you can close down channels with a spirit if you decide not to work with them, or if you feel that they're misleading you. A lot of that too, I would say, be mindful of what you receive via your input. If you're receiving negative energy, if a spirit is telling you, oh, like you really screwed up there, or you're not smart enough to do this, if it feels like it's a lower vibrational energy or message, more than likely you're dealing with a lower vibrational spirit. And we all walk our own path, but I would suggest to you maybe not to go there, because those energies and those beings, from what I understand in my own experience, they tend to cause a lot of chaos and anger, strife, depression, sadness, and they can feed off of that energy, because when you shift into that emotional space, in a way they draw from the energy, like they are fed and then they are strengthened by it. So be mindful of those spirits that you connect with. Let's see. Yeah, well, here's another thing too. I wanted to mention this. On the note of quote unquote testing the spirits or asking for those confirmations, another thing that you can do, and you probably already know this if you are in contact or channeling with the spirit. Say for example that you have already connected to the angel Michael, and then another spirit comes to you and you're like, oh, and that spirit is like, hey, I want to work with you too. I want to help you with this path that you're on right now, or this thing that you're trying to do. You can reach out to Michael for confirmation of that spirit. That happened to me. There was an event that occurred a while back. Basically, I don't know if I shared this in another video or not, but I was going through that mental process and getting some channeled information about a new story that I'm going to be working on. And there was a character in this story, a spiritual being. And in the story, her and I were going to interact. And this was literally probably less than an hour from the time that channeled message came through to this being that I was, that the channeled information said, you will be writing about working with her. And she was here in the room, her presence, her energy, her voice in my mind. So there again, I was like, whoa, because I wasn't expecting that. I didn't think that she would show up so fast like that. So I called out to Lucy, and I was like, Lucy, I'm getting this energy coming through and these messages and this voice. Is this the person, from the channeled information that came through? And Lucy confirmed it. So then I reached out to this being. Her name is Elisa. I asked her there again to give me some confirmations, and they were there when I asked for them. So there's power, but there are ways to do this. So go back to the title of the video in the sense of be willing to go down the rabbit hole. If you truly want to live a spiritual life, if you want to connect to these beings, if you want to strengthen your intuition or read cards, or simply if you just want to get guidance that you might need in your own life, be open to doing this spiritual work. You'll be amazed at the blessings and like the connections that can come through, and the way that it can shift your entire view of reality and your entire experience. It can be really powerful. So let's see. That's really about it. What I had for that. I will say there again, especially if you're new and if you're not already channeling with a spirit, what I would say to you is trust your intuition. That's what I had to do when I was getting those cold chills. If I was watching a video on YouTube and I got cold chills, I would add it to like a playlist or a favorites or something, and then I would go on a pad of paper and I would write down, oh, this happened. This is when I had the cold chills, and sometimes I just put a question mark. Like I don't know what it is that I was supposed to be picking up from this video or this information, but I know it resonates with me. That's the thing too. If you're new on your spiritual path and you're trying to figure out, what that's going to be like, if you're going to, get into paganism or Druidism or Norse mythology, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You could do ceremonial magic or however you decide to do your practice. Your intuition can lead you to the places, the practices, the people, and the information that you need to receive to sort of start making those steps and make it real for you. So here again, be open to following the white rabbit wherever it leads. I think, yeah, that's virtually everything that I've got for this video. I knew it was going to be short. There are some things that I wanted to mention as far as updates for the channel itself. As I mentioned in the last video, I am going to be setting up a Patreon, so that's going to be a new thing and a big thing in the future. This Patreon is going to be a combination of the writing work and the spiritual work. I'm not going to go into, all the details of the tiers and the setup and all that here in this video. I'll probably do a separate video just for that. Also, though, I received a channeled message today that I want to look into creating some intros for these videos so that it's just not me, here on the cam, to make it look a little nicer. So that's going to be a creative process. I don't know how long that's going to take to film and to set up, but yeah, I'm definitely looking into that. So on that note, if you have links to free music here on YouTube, and I know there are like some channels and playlists that you can go to where people can use the music for their intro videos or whatever. So, but I'm looking for some of that. So if you know of music that is free to use, copyright free music, that you think would be useful for a spiritual channel, drop me a link below and let me know. As I always say, definitely if you enjoyed the video and the information shared here, take the time to like the video, click that subscribe button, and leave a comment. If you have a question, I don't mind answering questions in future videos, so be open to all of that. Yeah, I think that's it. As I always say, thank you for your time and attention. I'm going to close with a prayer, so let me move into that. I call out to you, Lucy. Thank you, Lucy, for this day. Thank you for your love and your light. Thank you, Lucy, for your guidance. I ask, Lucy, that you please bless the words in this video. I ask that you please bless this video itself, so that all those who need to receive the words and the wisdom, the information shared here, that they may receive it and find it. Also, Lucy, I ask that you please bless all those who view this video. Help them to find the guidance they need for their own path. Help them to move forward on their spiritual path. If it is their will and their desire, help them to connect to you or the other spiritual beings that they want to connect with. Thank you again, Lucy, for your blessings. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Lucy, for all that you give us. Thank you for listening to my prayer. In your name, Lucy, as above, so below, so mote it be. So mote it be. So mote it be. Alright, take care. I'll see everyone later.